Constitution for Allah's 5% nation-state. Knowledge degree, Constitution, Preamble, Name and Purpose. Section A, Constitution. What is a constitution? A constitution is the most fundamental law of a sovereign body. The term is capitalized only when referring to a specific constitution, e.g., U.S. Constitution, New York Constitution, etc. In many cases, constitution refers to a single written document that explicitly creates government institutions, defines the scope of government power, and guarantees certain civil liberties. Nonetheless, a constitution does not inherently need to be written. In the case of an unwritten constitution, the term might simply refer to the general structure of a certain government regardless of how it arose or evolved. For example, the United Kingdom does not have any written constitution. What is the constitution of a state? The fundamental regulation that determines the manner in which the public authority is to be executed is what forms the constitution of the state. In this is seen the form in which the nation acts in quality of a body politic, how and by whom the people are to be governed, and what are the rights and duties of the governors. A constitution is in fact nothing more than the establishment of the order in which a nation proposes to labor in common for obtaining those advantages with a view to which the political society was established. Section B, Preamble. We the original people for Allah's 5% nation-state establishes this universal constitution for Allah's 5% nation-state, hereby referred to as the universal constitution, to proclaim Allah's World Manifest, international organization, as a representative international organization to promote and establish peace, freedom, justice, and equality, via the self-executed universal treaty for peace, freedom, justice, and equality, under agreement with Allah's World Manifest, intergovernmental organization, for the purpose and intent of self-governance and entering into relations with other states, establishing peace, freedom, justice, and equality, securing and protecting all human and unalienable rights, to promote our administrative works, and invoke the divine covenant of our Creator, the Lord of all the worlds, Allah, to rule by divine law as individual nationals and as a collective nation-state. In the name of Allah, we ordain and establish this universal constitution for Allah's 5% nation-state. Section C, Name. The official name for this international organization is the Allah's World Manifest, international organization. This organization will use the name or its acronym AWMIO in this and other documents for publicity materials and correspondence. Section D, Purpose. The purpose of this international organization is to fundamentally establish multiple state entities to exercise their state authority to enter into relations with other states/states entities in cooperation to enhance the objectives, long and short-term goals of our international organization. State entity shall mean any entity in which, directly or indirectly, a state has a controlling equity or ownership interest or similar economic interest, or which that state directly or indirectly controls. For purposes of this definition, control shall mean the possession, directly or indirectly, of the power to direct or cause the direction of the management and policies of a person, legal entity, whether through the ownership of a majority or other controlling interest in the voting securities, equity or other ownership interest in an entity, by law, or by agreement between persons conferring such power or voting rights. State authority shall mean any organ of a state at each level of authority, whether the organ exercises legislative, executive, judicial, or any other state functions, and including, without limitation, all central, regional, municipal, local, and judicial organs, or any consistent element of such organs having the power to govern, adjudicate, regulate, levy or collect taxes, duties, or other charges, grant licenses or permits or approvals, or otherwise affect the rights and obligations of any project participants, their successors, or permitted assignees in respect of project activities. Therefore, universal constitution for Allah's 5% nation-state as a state entity shall exercise its state authority over the following state entities. Universal Constitution for Allah's 5% nation-state. U/A. Universal Charter for Allah's 5% nation-state. U/A. Allah Justice Estates Revocable Divine Trust. U/A. Resolution to adopt trust. Allah Justice Estates Revocable Divine Trust and Declaration for Allah Justice Estates Revocable Divine Trust. U/A. Allah Justice Estates Divine Trust Territories. U/A. Universal Charter for Allah's World Manifest Intergovernmental Organization, and the other forms of literature and documentation and application procedures. Allah's World Manifest International Organization is a divine institution based upon a God-centered culture in which Allah, God, or our members is recognized as the supreme rulership, a system of government claiming a divine law commission. The development of a system of schools at all levels shall be actively pursued. An adequate fellowship and association/donation system shall be established, and the material conditions and upgrading of our teaching staff shall be continuously improved. All activities of this international organization must be directed toward these purposes. Wisdom Degree Membership. Section A. Requirements and Non-Discrimination Policy. All currently enrolled students, both undergraduate and graduate, and AW-MIO staff and faculty are eligible to be voting members. All members who are not currently enrolled as AW-MIO students or AW-MIO faculty and staff are eligible to be non-voting members. All members are required to demonstrate support for the purpose of this international organization. Membership decisions will not discriminate on the basis of race, color, national origin, religion, sex, gender identity, pregnancy, disability, age, medical condition, cancer-related, ancestry, marital status, citizenship, sexual orientation, or status as a Vietnam-era veteran or special or disabled veteran. This does not mean that because of the above listed classifications of members who join, that they are able to change any of the philosophies, cultural teachings, observations, or services for Allah's World Manifest International Organization. Nor does / will any of their grievances be a determining / altering factor in the formal operations of the international organization and its members. All joining members can join based upon the provisions set forth in the criteria. As well, they can also not join if they do not agree with the provisions set forth in this criterion. All members are required to pay a $50 annual membership donation prior to taking part in any international organization activity. All the funds collected from applying members will go towards all pertinent purposes of the international organization. Section B. Rights. All members are eligible to attend all meetings and events of this international organization. If a donation is required to attend a particular event, the membership will establish a donation scale for voting members, non-voting members, and others as appropriate. Section C. Withdrawal of membership. Members may have their membership withdrawn for failure to adhere to the requirements for membership as stated above. A simple majority vote of the quorum of membership at a regular or special meeting shall be sufficient to withdraw membership. Members to be voted upon in this regard will be notified of their intention to do so in writing at least 4 weeks prior to the meeting at which the vote will be taken. Understanding degree are divine officers. Section A. Officer titles. President. 2. Vice President. 3. Secretary. 4. Treasurer. 5. Program Committee Chair. Section B. Duties of our divine officers. The President will chair all meetings of AW-MIO and will call special meetings as needed. The President will vote on AW-MIO matters only in case of a tie. To preside at divine committee and general meetings, appoint special committees with the approval of the Executive Board, to present an annual report, and perform other such duties as may be required by the bylaws or resolutions of the Divine Committee. Our Vice President shall chair any ad hoc committees or task forces of the international organization. to preside in the President's absence and perform other such duties as may be required by the bylaws or resolutions of the Divine Committee, plan and organize publicity for activities and special events. Our Secretary shall attend all general correspondence of the organization, to keep the minutes of all Divine Committee and general meetings, and to preserve the records of the organization. He will also perform other such duties as may be required by the bylaws or resolutions of the Divine Committee. Our Treasurer will take, record, and file meetings minutes, produce all official correspondence for the international organization and maintain records, and report on the financial transactions of A.W. Mile. Treasurer. Supervise the financial administration of all revenue periodically to the Divine Committee and membership on the financial condition of the organization, and perform other such duties as may be required by the bylaws or resolutions of the Divine Committee. Our Program Committee Chair will direct the planning of the international organization's education and social programs. Section C. Requirements for running for and holding office. All officers and candidates for office must be currently enrolled A.W. Mile students. All officers must be voting members of A.W. Mile. Section D. Nominations and elections. Nominations for all offices will be taken from the floor of the third to last regular meeting of the spring semester each year. Any member may nominate any other member, including himself or herself. Elections will be held at the second to last meeting of the spring semester. Nominations may also be made during the election meeting itself, prior to closing of nominations and taking the vote. A simple majority vote of the quorum present at that meeting will be sufficient to elect an officer. If there are more than 2 candidates and no candidate receives a majority, there will be a runoff vote between the top 2 vote recipients in the general meeting. Section E. Removal from office. Officers may be removed from office for failure to perform duties or for violation of membership clause. Officers to be voted upon in this regard will be notified of the intention to do so in writing at least 1 week prior to the meeting at which the vote will be taken. A 2/3 majority of quorum present at a regularly scheduled meeting shall be sufficient for removal from office. Any officer may resign by submitting a letter to the President. The President may resign by submitting a letter to the Vice President. Section F. Terms of office and vacancies. The term of office shall be from the last meeting of each spring semester until the end of the second to last meeting of the subsequent spring semester. Should a vacancy in office occur, there will be another nomination procedure and election for the vacant office. In the meantime, the Vice President will assume the duties of the President. The Secretary/Treasurer will assume the duties of the Vice President, and the Program Chair will assume the duties of the Secretary/Treasurer should those offices be vacant. Culture Degree. Meetings. 0. Section A. Regular meetings will be held the first and third Sundays of every month. Section B. Special meetings may be called by any combination of 3 of the officers. Notice of special meetings must be communicated to all members at least 72 hours in advance of the meeting. Section C. To conduct business at any meeting, 1/2 of the entire voting membership must be present to form quorum. Power Degree. Committees. Section A. Program Committee. The only standing committee of A.W. Mile is the Program Committee, whose purpose is to plan events and programs for the international organization. All decisions of the Program Committee involving committing international organization funds in amounts greater than $25 will require the approval of the majority of those members present at the regular or special meeting of the ALAS, World Manifest, International Organization. Similar decisions, but for $25 or less, may be approved by the Program Chair with consent from 2 officers. Section B. Other Committees. Other committees may be appointed by a majority vote of the members at a regular meeting of A.W. Mile. In appointing such committees, A.W. Mile, members must specify the purpose and chair or co-chair of that committee and establish its duration. Equality Degree. Affiliations. Section A. ALAS World Manifest, International Organization, or A.W. Mile. This international organization is a recognized student organization at the ALAS School in Mecca, but is not part of the ALAS School in Mecca itself. In all correspondence and business transactions, It may refer to itself as an international organization at Allah School in Mecca, but not as part of Allah School in Mecca itself. AWMIO accepts full financial and production responsibility for all activities it sponsors. AWMIO agrees to abide by all pertinent Allah School in Mecca policies and regulations. Where Allah School in Mecca policies and regulations and those of AWMIO differ, the policies and regulations of Allah School in Mecca will take precedence. This international organization recognizes and understands that the Allah School in Mecca assumes no legal liability for the actions of the international organization, and that the Allah School in Mecca is not providing blanket indemnification insurance coverage for any activities of the international organization. Section B, National Affiliation. AWMIO is the Allah School in Mecca chapter of the Allah's 5% nation-state, where Allah's 5% nation-state guidelines, regulations, or policies differ from those of Allah School in Mecca. Allah School and Mecca's policies, regulations, and guidelines shall take precedence. God degree, faculty/staff advisor. Section A, Advisor requirements. This international organization may appoint a primary advisor by majority vote of membership. Other persons may serve as special advisors as needed. Section B, Duties. The advisor must sign the recognition application each year. Officers should meet with the advisor 4 times per semester. An advisor may not vote in AWMIO matters, hold office, or unduly influence decisions of the student organization. Build or destroy degree, bylaws and amendments. Section A, Bylaws. Bylaws can be added to this Constitution by a simple majority vote of the entire membership at a regular meeting of AWMIO. This Constitution takes precedence over any and all bylaws. Allah School in Mecca policies and state, federal, and international laws take precedence over Constitution and any and all bylaws. Section B, Amendments. This Constitution can be amended by a 2/3 vote of the entire membership at a regular meeting of AWMIO. Notification of such a motion must be made to members at least 2 to 3, meeting in advance of the one in which the actual vote is taken. All amendments shall be in consonance with Allah School in Mecca regulations and policies, and shall be filed with the Allah School in Mecca through the Office of the Dean of Students within 2 weeks of adoption by the organization. Foreign degree, Financial matters. Section A, Responsibilities. Registered campus organizations must follow the Allah School in Mecca policies applying to campus activities, organizations, and students in all financial matters, and accept full responsibility for all activities that bear the organization's name as official sponsor. The Allah School in Mecca, 4 times per semester, shall have the right to audit the financial records of this international organization. Knowledge Cipher degree, our financial plan. Section A, Responsibilities. Our school's financial plan shall be based upon non-taxable events, which are transactions and occurrences that are not taxable by the government/state. As well, the school body may exercise indirect taxation, which is a form of profit which is open for the school body to make against services rendered, such as document preparation, nationality cards for identification, uniforms for administrative service, etc. The school body/God body for Allah School in Mecca shall serve our secular purpose, not have the primary effect of advancing or inhibiting culture or religion, and not produce impermissible government entanglement with culture or religion, and is only exhibiting the free exercise thereof, which just happens to be constitutionally secured in its rights. United States Constitution, Article 1, Section 10.1. No state shall pass any law impairing the obligation of contracts. Burnett v. Smith, 240 SW 1007, 1922, U.S. Supreme Court, a pure trust is established by contract, and any law or procedure in its operation denying or obstructing contract rights impairs contract obligation and is therefore in violation of the United States Constitution. Our tax system is based on individual self-assessment and voluntary compliance. Mortimer Kaplan, Internal Revenue Audit Manual, 1975. The United States has a system of taxation by confession. Hugo Black, Supreme Court Justice in USA Carriager. Only the rare taxpayer would be likely to know that he could refuse to produce his records to IRS agents. Who would believe the ironic truth that the cooperative taxpayer fares much worse than the individual who relies upon his constitutional rights? Judge Cummings, U.S. Federal Judge in U.S. v. Dickerson, 7th Circuit, 1969. Let me point this out now. Your income tax is 100% voluntary tax, and your liquor tax is 100% enforced tax. Now, the situation is as different as night and day. Consequently, your same rules just will not apply. Dwight E. Avis, former head of the Alcohol and Tobacco Tax Division of the IRS, testifying before a House Ways and Means Subcommittee in 1953. It is to be known and understood that our school is engaging in lawful tax avoidance and not engaging in illegal tax evasion. The principle of lawful tax avoidance and numerous court cases have confirmed that everyone has the complete right to choose such avenues. Our Divine Trust has many advantages. Our Divine Trust can perform legal acts without being considered a legal entity. It can save money by saving on taxes, probate, attorney fees, and other related expenses. It can avoid unnecessary delays, manage personal and administrative affairs more efficiently, protect loved ones against others, protect property against unnecessary liability, provide for better documentation and bookkeeping. If deemed necessary, protect privacy and accomplish many important objectives during the lifespan of the school body and beyond, in the most efficient of manners. Our Divine Trust is infinitely flexible and can be adapted to many ethical, lawful, and noble purposes. This Divine Trust can do a lot more things than most people have realized. This type of trust can own a foundation, either to receive grants or make grants. It can own businesses without being considered a business. It can own a scientific, health, or educational institute. It can own a religious, cultural, or divine organization. It can own a holding company. It can own a school estate planning instrument. It can own a personal vehicle for commerce. And it can own a tax shelter or credit union, among many other things. It is infinitely flexible. It can be styled, modified, and adapted to serve any noble purpose, virtually anything that is life-supporting, ethical, and lawful. The Divine Trustee for our Divine Trust/school can hold bank accounts in her own name. She can pay all the bills of the school in her name. She can hold real estate in her own name. And it can protect just about any kind of asset. She is not understood by most attorneys because it is not taught in law school, but they have been diligently studying the trust law traditions and practices used by many of the world's wealthiest families for centuries. The Divine Trustee performing services as escrow agent shall not be liable for any action taken or omitted by it in good faith and in the exercise of its own best judgment, and may rely conclusively and shall be protected in acting upon any order, notice, demand, certificate, opinion, or advice of counsel, including counsel chosen by the escrow agent, statement, instrument, report, or other paper or document, not only as to its due execution and the validity and effectiveness of its provisions, but also as to the truth, confidentiality, and acceptability of any information therein contained, which is believed by the escrow agent to be genuine and to be signed or presented by the proper person or persons. The escrow agent shall not be bound by any notice or demand, or any waiver, modification, termination, or rescission of this agreement unless evidenced by a writing delivered to the escrow agent signed by the proper party or parties, and if the duties or rights of the escrow agent are affected, unless it shall have given its prior written consent thereto. You are also to know that there is no authority to impose taxes, tribute, or duty on any of the divine vicegerents, divine administrators, divine stewards, divine trustees, Allah School and Mecca members, or other workers at this house for Allah. Knowledge degree, resolution for this Constitution. It is hereby resolved that Allah's 5% nation-state has an indisputable right to form, maintain, and perfect its Constitution, to regulate at pleasure everything relating to our government, and that no person or state has a just right to hinder it. Our Constitution is established only for the sake of the Allah's 5% nation-state, under agreement with Allah School in Mecca with a view to its safety and happiness. We may conclude that if any disputes arise in a state respecting the fundamental laws, the public administration, or the rights of the different powers of which it is composed, it belongs to the nation alone to judge and determine them conformably to its political constitution. No foreign power has a right to interfere. All these affairs being solely a national concern, no foreign power has a right to interfere in them, nor ought to intermeddle with them otherwise than by its good offices unless requested to do it or induced by particular reasons. If any intrude into the domestic concerns of another nation, and attempts to put a constraint on its deliberations, they do it an injury. If every man is obliged to entertain a sincere love for his state and its constitution, and to promote its welfare as far as in his power, it is a shameful and detestable crime to injure that very state and its constitution. He who becomes guilty of it violates his most sacred engagements and sinks into base ingratitude. He dishonors himself, since he abuses the confidence of his fellow citizens, and treats as enemies those who had a right to expect his assistance and services. We see traitors to their state and its constitution only among those men who are solely sensible to base interest, who only seek their own immediate advantage, and whose hearts are incapable of every sentiment of affection for others. They are, therefore, justly detested by mankind in general as the most infamous of all villains. On the contrary, peace to those generous nationals, state nationals, and citizens who are loaded with honor and praise, who are not content with the basic functions and duty to their state and its constitution, but make noble efforts in her favor, and are capable of making her the greatest state due to their selfless sacrifices. A man ought to preserve gratitude and affection for the state to which he is indebted for his education, and of which his parents were members when they gave him birth. But as various lawful reasons may oblige him to choose another country, that is, to become a member of another society or state, so, when we speak in general of the duty to our state and its constitution, the term is to be understood as meaning the state of which a man is an actual member, since it is the latter, in preference to every other state, that he is bound to serve with his utmost efforts. It is evident that men form a political society and submit to laws solely for their own advantage and safety. The sovereign authority of our state is established only for the common good of all its nationals, state nationals, and or citizens. Knowledge, wisdom, degree, our supremacy clause. This Constitution, and the public laws for Allah's 5% nation-state which shall be made in pursuance thereof, the self-executed Universal Treaty for peace, freedom, justice, and equality, and all other treaties made, or which shall be made under the state authority of Allah's 5% nation-state shall be the supreme LAW of the land, air and water within and throughout the formal designation of borders of Allahu justice, estates, divine trust territories, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby, any person, place, or thing in the constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. Knowledge, understanding, degree, ratification. Date approved by international organization. Signature of presiding officer. Reviewed by Allah School in Mecca. Law Executive Director for Student Affairs. Date